Hey, good evening, everybody. Today's April 26th, 2025. It's late evening. I'm up in my loft, and my name's Brad, and we're gonna talk about the economy. This seems to be a big issue nowadays, and it seems to be total chaos in America with people battling to make ends meet on just trying to get by, just to survive. I see it every day when I'm in public. I can see the struggles in people and stuff like that. So, hey, I want to hear your comments too as we start talking about this stuff. And then, the reason I'm creating this show is because I want to be able to take you all firsthand, show you all, in person the increase of prices, how things are affecting everyday people, just kind of, there's many news sources out there, everybody's got something to say. But I want to dig into it a little bit deeper as we go along, and figure out what's really going on. So, yeah, let's get it started. So, as y'all know, since 2020, that seems to be the big year that everything kind of just, from the time we went through all that crisis, everything just blew up. Just blew up like a shit show, a total shit show. And it's been like it ever since, and it doesn't ever go away. So, as y'all know, as you see right here, the U.S. national debt is rising to almost $37 trillion. That's a lot of money over the years that's built up. I know, we have a problem, but what can we do to fix it? I know, you have different administrations, different things trying to take different approaches to fixing things. I don't know if we've gotten too far that we just can't reverse it, or if we're just going to have to suck it up and eat it. And because inflation has just gotten outrageous. Fuel prices going up and down, and food prices going up and down. People's paycheck. It's been said that 80% of people are living paycheck to paycheck now, which I honestly think it's higher. Because people just can't save the extra. You got to think of it, the housing crisis. I know a lot of people's been, holding out, hoping the markets will crash, the housing markets crash. It's in such a big bubble now. Once that thing pops, even if it does pop, what's it gonna do? The prices of housing has skyrocketed. It's doubled and tripled since 20 years ago. 10 years ago. It's, ever since the 2008 crash, but it's just kind of become unaffordable for a lot of Americans. Even you have you and your spouse, or two people working, drawing an income, still struggling to pay, a big mortgage and be able to raise kids and be able to, sustain everyday life. There's just a lot of things that goes into raising families, and it's been said that a lot of people are not getting married anymore. Less people are having kids. They can't figure it out. Well, it makes sense. Everything's too expensive. You think of it like this. Like daycare. You know how many people I've talked to that has little kids, that puts their kids in daycare because they both work a job and they don't have a choice but to put in daycare. Maybe they don't have a family member that can watch them. These daycare centers are charging, I've heard anywhere from $800 all the way up to $1,500 per child per month, depending on which state, what region of the U.S. you live in. Obviously, I've heard in the Northeast, I think I knew one guy that was paying $1,300 a month, and that was back a couple years ago or so, maybe 4 years ago. He was paying $1,300 to $1,400 a month just for his daughter that was like 4 years old. That $1,400 a month, that was a house payment. That would make a couple car payments. And he was just working a regular job, single dad trying to raise his daughter. He was getting hit. But I've known people that's got 2 or 3, 4 kids. They have to do daycare. At that point, it doesn't make sense to even do daycare, because if the spouse is working, their whole income can't even cover the daycare costs of all the kids. So they don't have a choice but to stay home, and maybe the man has to work. Well, maybe his income isn't going up enough to meet the inflation, which a lot of Americans are going through, to be able to afford a decent house, a decent car, because it's a fact. Most households require 2 cars. It takes 1 car to get the guy to work, and 1 car to stay home with the wife, because she may have to go to doctor's visits with the kids. She may have to go to the grocery store. And then the guy's working long hours. Just trying to make enough money to pay all this stuff. So you got to figure, the average family's got 1 house, 2 cars. They got several credit cards, because we all know that your basic income from your job is just not enough to cut it. So a lot of Americans, they charge it on credit cards. Some of them do it for the points. Yeah, I get it. You got awards points, stuff like that. Some of them don't have a choice but to use credit cards. So and you start racking up credit cards, you take out one, they extend the balance, you keep racking up. It gets to the point where people just can't do it. They either fall on it or just let it go. And it's sad that it's got to that point, in America, that people just can't solely live off just one income anymore. They can't even make it off 2 incomes hardly. Some people can, but you just got to be very selective with how you spend your money. And, so I don't know. It just seems to be a crisis. And I see it. Food prices are just outrageous now. I mean, look at the egg pandemic thing, egg shortage, or the eggs, them things used to be dirt cheap. You could get a dozen of them for a couple bucks years ago. Now you're paying, I think the last time I checked, it was like $4, $5, $6 a dozen. Sometimes you can find better deals, certain stores, but still, that's ridiculous. That's total bullshit, having to pay that for eggs, And they claim that, there's a bird flu wiping out birds and all this stuff. Is that really still going on? Please leave in the comments. Let me know if you live in a state or know people that maybe owns chicken houses or raises eggs and does this like as a farmer for a living. Let me know if that's actually what's really going on, or if there's something else behind the scenes that us Americans are not knowing, doesn't know about. But I was just digging through some news articles today, and I know the big hot thing right now is the tariffs. Tariffs have really put a shock and awe on this country. We are at a tariff war with China, Mexico, Canada, South America. There's a lot of countries that import goods to the U.S. that we have had for years, and because let's face it, a lot of this stuff, products, they're not made in America. People wish we could, but let's just face it, right now, we're not structured to make all this stuff in America. They say it could take years to, reverse all this. I don't know. They claim they're working on it, but as of right now, in real time, we're in a crisis. Because a lot of people are just trying to do what they got to do to make a dollar just to get by. But these tariffs, these are affecting big corporations. You got Walmart, Target, Sam's, there's all these big corporations. Where do you think this stuff comes from? I know the big hot one right now is China. Our administration has tariffed China a ton. China's tariffing back, But at the end of the day, who pays for all this? It's you guys and me that are paying for these tariffs, because products are coming in, stores are getting them, they're putting them on the shelves, they're jacking them prices up so damn sky high that 1 week you go in, next week you go in, it's like $2, $3, $4 higher than what it was the week before. That don't sound like much, but over time, you start doing it on every product, it's going to burn people's pockets. It already is. I know some of them's got delayed, some of them's in action, some of them's currently going on right now. I don't think it's hit hard enough yet for us to really feel the pain, but I feel it's coming very soon. So all I can say is, stock up on your necessities, what you can now. and what you think is you're going to need the most. And even if you can't afford to go buy it all at once, just every payday, just try to buy something. It's always good to have like cases of water laying around, dry goods. Just go buy a shelf and just stock it full of canned goods and stuff. Anything just to, if there was a food shortage or something was to hit, you could at least sustain at least 72 hours or a week worth of food. I mean, some people stock up, they could just sustain a whole year of living, but some of them go overly extreme with stuff too. But I ain't saying that's a bad thing, but if that's all you can do, at least have enough to get your family through for at least a week, until you can figure out which other route to go. But I just feel like the tariffs, and you got a lot of people that, they're Amazon sellers, all that stuff that's on Amazon, it comes from China. All that stuff on TikTok Shop, it comes from China. We all know it. I mean, that country manufactures, produces all that stuff, and then they get over here cheap, and that's what keeps things going around, But now, with these tariffs going on with China, and them shipping the goods over, in the containers by ship and all that stuff. Well, now Amazon sellers that has actual stores, legitimate stores online, they're going to have to raise their prices in order to still make a profit to keep going, but it's going to get more costly for the consumer too. So, I mean, it's a chain reaction. Let's just face it. I mean, it's bullshit. We all know it, but what can you do, but yeah, it's like CNBC stated, Amazon sellers raised prices after Trump's China tariff. It's unsustainable. Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, it's going to be painful, and as everybody's working through it and everything. Nobody really knows what's going to happen within the next 6 months. I mean, we can say it and predict it and all this stuff, but I can't tell you if gas is going to be $6 a gallon, in 6 months, or if they're going to drill for more oil, or if they're going to do this, or if the tariffs are still going to be in a war within 6 months. Nobody really knows. I mean, experts claim that it's going to drag out through the whole year. I hope not, because that's going to be really a painful thing for the American people. I feel it. You feel it. I mean, let's face it. We have to do what we got to do. Still enjoy life. If you do have a job, be like you have a job right now, because right now, the unemployment rate with all that's going on in the news, all the layoffs and corporations letting go and cutting back, and then AI's, they're trying to get AI to come in and replace a lot of jobs, and stuff like that. So, you've got a lot of people. I think I looked earlier. I think there was like 7.1 million people that's unemployed in the United States right now. 7.1 million. I'll check that again, but that's a lot of people without jobs. And I mean, what are they supposed to do? Because, for instance, my son, he's 16. He just turned 16. He's trying to do the same thing I did. You go 16, you go out and get a job. You want to make a little money. You want to get a car. You want to do this. Well, I'm trying to help him out. But the thing is, for the past few months, he's literally applied at every fast food type of job, a typical job that a high schooler would do. And he would get no calls, no interviews, nothing. And finally, I said, "This is ridiculous." I said, let's try a different approach. I said, let's, do the application, have them go in and talk to the general manager, have them go talk to the hiring manager, let them know face to face, like, hey, I see you got a hiring sign out here. You need help. I'm ready to go. You tell your kid, to engage with them, because I had managers tell me, I said, yeah, my son, he's trying to get him a job. He's trying to get started. They said, we get hundreds of applications every day. And so if you're just turning the application and just sitting back, you're most likely not going to get a call. So, I mean, but he did have some luck. Took him to a job last week. Went in there and talked to him. Luckily, the general manager was there. We spoke. They got along. he called him in for an interview, and now he starts here in a few days. So I wish him the best of luck, and I told him, I said, do good and, move your way up, say, get you some money, get you a car, all that stuff, and, let him get his feet wet a bit. I mean, that's what you got to do. I know it's tough, especially with people with teenagers nowadays. I got one. I know some of you people probably got 3, 4 teenagers. I don't know how you do it, but, you just got to do it, because they don't know any different. I mean, they're starting out just like we did when we was younger. So, just try to push them, help them out, motivate them, and, they'll make it. I mean, it is tougher nowadays, but let's face it. I mean, it's always been tough, but I understand, nowadays the jobs that were for 16-year-olds, jobs prefer 18-year-olds and up now. There's a lot of people that's 18 to 25, even seniors that should be retired by now in their 60s and 70s are not making enough on Social Security. They're having to go back and work these jobs that a high schooler should do. Now, how pathetic is that? It's not their fault. It's just that, the cost of living has went up so drastically that, what do you do? I mean, people got to eat. So, I mean, there's been people move in with other family members just to split the mortgage payment, split rent. I mean, there's people I'm sure in, bigger cities that are, running 6, 7, 8, 10 people deep in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it shouldn't be like that, so, but yeah, I just feel like it just continuously gets worse as time goes, but I would hope there's an end in sight and things will get better. But the reason I wanted to start this show is because I want to be able to, like, firsthand get your comments of what's going on in your areas, and then take you in my area and actually show you, anything from the auto industry, from the tariffs hitting that, to the prices of vehicles, to the prices of groceries, how much is rapidly changing. I want to cover, we'll talk about the stock market. That's another thing to get into right there, stock market, because here the past couple of weeks, we know the stock market took a pretty good downfall, and a lot of people that had 401ks lost a lot of money, and especially, it may not hurt as bad for somebody that's still young in the game. They got years to build back up, but there's guys and women out there that's 2 or 3 years out from retiring. They had a pretty good lump sum of 401k ready, and then all of a sudden the markets had crashed and they lost a huge chunk of this. And you already know that, a lot of that's going to get taxed, and depending on how you got it set up and all this, they don't have the time to rebuild that. If that markets don't shoot back up and raise their 401ks up, I mean, they're just screwed. I mean, so it's like, is retirement even a thing anymore, and I know there's people out there that's very financially smart. They've done the right things. You had to cut out a lot of stuff, and they might be okay. But for the average American, I think people, I see it in their eyes. They're burned out. They get up, they go to work, they put their 8 to 12 to 15-hour days in. They come home drained. They get home, eat dinner, maybe see their family for an hour or two. They're right back in bed, up again, and doing the same thing daily, and just to get by. But they don't really feel like they're accomplishing anything to save or building, that wealth, and the American dream, as we call it. So I don't know. I mean, everybody's affected differently. Some people have it worse than others. Some people are living pretty good, but I wish everybody was living good. But it's just how the thing is, and we just have to fight through it together. But yeah, I mean, I just want to kind of, cover a little bit, of basically what we're going to cover. I'd like to talk about, weekly with you guys, and, it just never ending. So, but yeah, I mean, I want to introduce myself. My name is Brad, and, I want to take you on this journey, and let's see what we can dig into, and see, what we can do to, I guess, better prepare ourselves for these types of crises you know, the people are going through and everything, you know, because things have gotten kind of really out of control for a lot of people. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I want to keep it interesting for you guys, and just let me know if there's any specific category topic that involves the economy, the way of living, that you want me to discuss and do a little research on. Let me know. I'd be happy to make a video, and we'll talk about it together. But anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to come on, and I look forward to being able to share this journey with everybody, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, we'll catch you later, and have a good night.